I'm sure most of you have heard about the 2007 Pixar film Ratatouille. For those who aren't familiar with it, the film is about a rat named Remy who dreams about becoming a chef. After finding himself in Paris, he helps a mature chef named Linguini, who teams up with him in order to make the finest dishes in all of France. I used to love the movie back when it was released. However, there was one scene that I didn't like, and for those of you who have watched the movie, you would know that there is a scene which Remy gets so mad about Linguini not acknowledging his contributions and saying how he was the one who helped Linguini create the great and amazing dishes in France. Remy was so fed up, and then he goes as far as inviting his family to raid the kitchen pantry. Then Linguini comes out of the kitchen and he apologizes to Remy, but after seeing the rats raid the kitchen, he angrily chases them out, Remy included, while at the same time ending his friendship with Remy, thinking that Remy had betrayed him. Every time this scene would come up, I would always fast forward to skip the scene. However, there was one thing I didn't know about this scene until now. The thing I didn't know about this scene was that it really had a dark, morbid original cut. Thankfully, it was not making it into the final cut of the movie, but you may be wondering to yourself about how this morbid cut is, well, I was just walking home after work at a paper company one day, until I was suddenly ambushed by someone in a black coat. He grabbed me and dragged me into an alleyway in the streets. He asked me if I could keep a secret or not. I said yes, and he pulled out a DVD from his coat. Remember, don't release the contents of this DVD. If you do, I'll know, the guy said. I took the DVD and then went out of the alleyway. Then I turned around, and then the guy was not there anymore. I looked at the DVD, and it was a Ratatouille DVD. On the back of the DVD was a black marker that said, Revenge Alternate. I decided to take the DVD home out of curiosity. I walked home to my apartment and put the DVD in my DVD player. The DVD started off with a little static for a while, then it cut to a test card. The test card then faded out and then cut to the movie. The movie didn't start off with the TV saying how Gutsu was really famous. It just jumped to the same scene of how Remy and Linguini were having an argument after Linguini's press meeting. Linguini was ranting about Remy's hair and him pulling and was distracting him from the press. It leads to Linguini putting Remy outside, saying that he needs to focus since Anton Ego is coming out of the restaurant. Remy then filed a steamy hot rage. He then began kicking and punching mostly everything. Then he is caught up with his brother Emil, and then the rats who Linguini had put Remy outside. Remy was then frustrated and angry, decided to bring the whole clan of rats to raid the pantry, just like in the finished movie. What I didn't expect was how the entirety of the scene was going to play out. And boy, I regret watching the whole thing. When Remy led his clan, his father, Dangio, Gango, and even into the party, Linguini entered the kitchen to find Remy in order to apologize for his behavior towards him. Then Emil accidentally blows the rat's cover by spitting grapes out of his mouth, instantly throwing the grapes onto Linguini's neck. Linguini then checks to see what he had hit his neck and finds out it was about the yeasts. He then turned to Remy. Linguini then had a feeling betrayed and thinking that Remy had backstabbed him, and as usual lines have finished him. Albert then was more angry tone. He then grabbed the broom and started chasing the rats out of the kitchen, including Remy. Instead of saying his usual line in the finished movie, instead, now he said how frustrated how he trusted Remy and Remy had treated him. Then he yelled at Remy that he was no longer his little chef, as he always refers into the movie. Then angrily slams the doors to the kitchen shut, like I mentioned before. I don't like this scene because of Remy's supposed betrayal to Linguini, but now everything up to this point was getting much worse. A guilt-ridden Remy then looks at the doors to the kitchen. Danganjo and even Emil try to confront Remy, but Remy just runs away. Instead of somberly walking away, the camera then cuts to Remy's point of view, and he was walked for a bit, until he falls to the floor and begins to sob uncontrollably. I could actually see Remy's tears drop to the floor, and he cried bitterly. "It's all my fault. I'm such an idiot," Remy said in between his sobs. The camera then cuts back to the original view, as Remy was into a tall building, tears welling up in his eyes, and as Remy scurries up the top of the building. As the camera shots of Remy running up the stairs into the building. Now Remy then climbed up to the balcony of the highest floor building, looking at the landscape of Paris. Denjo and Emo managed to catch up with Remy, and by that point I didn't know what was happening until I put two and two together. It turns out that Remy was so guilt-ridden that he was planning to take his own life by jumping out of the building. "Remy!" Denjo cried right out. Emma and Jing tried to stop Remy from taking his own life. However, before Remy jumped off, he said, "Thanks for everything." And with that, Remy closed his eyes tightly as he could and takes a blind leap. "No!" Emma and Emily cried out. A disgusting splat was heard down below, low with the black screen. And what happened next, it made me lose it. Remy was on the floor, dead. His body was surrounded by a pool of blood. The camera then picks up from the side frame of Remy, and as the rat laid motionless for 1 minute, until he opens his eyes with a final breath and said, "I'm sorry, Linguini." Remy then closed his eyes again, and one more tear rolled down his face. The screen then turned black, and that was the end of it. I started crying uncontrollably, like Remy did in that DVD. At that point, I ejected the DVD and started to stomp it on the DVD to make sure there was nothing left of it. I then threw the DVD remains in my dustbin, as I didn't like this scene before, but this was way too far. I decided to go to bed, and then it was still daytime outside. I did not know why that guy decided to mention something so childhood ruining out of the blue. Before I end the story, let me give you a warning. If someone gives you an alternative ending or alternate scene from an existing movie or TV show, do not accept it. Run away as fast as possible and get help. That, my little pretties, was Ratatouille, Remy's Revenge alternative scene. I guess you could say a Ratatouille alternative scene creepypasta. I think that's how I'm going to call it. I don't know. Written by Affan Jamsari. Affan Jamsari, thank you so much for writing this story. Thank you so much for sending this story. This was highly appreciated. My final thoughts on the story. Okay. I'm going to be honest. I did not like this story. Saying that right now, I did not like this story. And the reason why I didn't like this story was because of how it went out. It actually was it was cliched. That's the only thing I could definitely say. Like, saying somebody randomly gives you the DVD, like, look, I'm gonna sit there and say this. I'm not trying to insult anyone here, but that cliche, alone has been done to death. And to be honest, I actually really concede that it is just cliched. That's the only thing of why I really don't care about this story, was because it was cliched. Like, seeing there was a DVD cliche, there was, Remy, taking his own life. I can't really say the name of, what he actually did, because, I would get demonetized, but you could probably get where I'm coming from. But at the same time, why would Remy sit there and do that? Why would he sit there and take his own life over the guilt? Like, maybe if he's depressed, perhaps, but at the same time, there's, no need to do that. There's no need for it. So, if that was the case, it would actually not look well. I think with this problem is that there was some cliches in the story that just didn't work. There were cliches in the story that just didn't work with the story. There was DVD, there was characters taking their own life. Why does it always involving and ending with death? I'm afraid that's a question I'm not understanding, is why does it always involve with people dying? Why does it every Lost episode or movie creepypasta has to end with that? I don't get it. I really just don't get it why people can't come up with something decent, but at the same time, it just doesn't work. That's the only thing I'm having to say, is that it just doesn't work. Now, the grammar was alright. I'm gonna give it a pass on the grammar. Kinda do, because the grammar was okay. It's not terrible, but it is okay. What I could definitely say was that the grammar, there were a couple of grammatical errors in the story. Like, there was like a couple words that were not uppercase, such as, certain characters' names. The beginning of their names were not capitalized, and there were a couple of lowercase i's in the story. And there were times where, there's places that should have been periods, places that should have been commas, or they weren't there, or they were just all over the place. There were like a couple of run-on sentences in the story. I believe I spotted a few run-on sentences, but at the same time, I'm kind of giving this one a pass, but at the same time, it just doesn't really work. The cliches just didn't really work with the story, and that's one thing I'm definitely saying. I guess some of it just doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. Maybe that might be just me, but I really don't know. I really just don't know. But yeah, I guess I'm just gonna sit there and say, it's just what I would suggest the author to do is, well, I guess you could just say, delete the story and start over. That's like one thing I would sit there and do if I wanted to be better, or at least go and remove the cliches and fix the grammar and stuff. At least it may not be the best lost episode or movie story out there, but at least it would be a lot more, it'd be a lot more better in that case. Grammar-wise, that is. But that might be just me, but I honestly don't care. But anyways, I guess with that being said, the story was not great. I will give, a little bit of a rating because the grammar was decent, although it does need to be worked on. Same thing with the sentence structuring. Although the paragraph structuring's good, that's something I'm definitely going out of my way and saying. But other than that, the story just wasn't that great. But anyways, with that being the case and with that being said, yeah, I'm gonna sit here and say this right now, that this is just simply my own personal opinion, and if you happen to disagree with me, that's fine too. We're all entitled to our own opinions regards to these creepypastas, and this is simply my own personal thoughts. My final rating of this story would have to be, I'm gonna give this one a 2 out of 10. I've given it a 2 because the grammar was actually decent, and same thing with the sentence structuring, and the paragraph structuring was good. Although the sentence structuring does need to be worked on, and the story needs to be a rewrite. It needs to be rewritten, and that honestly, I'm just sitting there and saying that. It just needs to be rewritten. Like, I'm not trying to do this to insult anyone. I'm only doing these reviews so I can help them get better with their writing. But, the story itself was just cliched. It just involves with Remy, taking his own life. Like, why does it always have to involve, characters dying? Like, by either taking their own life or something? Like, why does it do that? I don't understand that. I don't know why a lot of creepypastas, do tend to sit there and do that. But maybe this is one of the reasons why I don't read certain stories on Goshia unless a fan has wrote me a story on there that I know, like, for example, Matthew Bumford and other individuals. But anyways, that being the case and that being said, what did you guys think about this creepypasta? Did you all enjoy it? Did you not? Also, what have you done personally to help make this story a lot better? Feel free to leave me now what your thoughts are down in the comment section down below. The Queen of Lions, thank you so much for watching today's episode, and if you happen to be brand new here on this channel, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, because I make brand new videos every single day. Don't forget to ring the notification bell to when I upload, and you guys will not miss an upload. And as always, please roll the outro because I'm out.